Today you're going to learn how Choose Networks has grown from $2.3 million to $6.5 million from 2015 to 2018. And I'm going to share with you the 5 campaign marketing strategy that we use that maybe you will be able to use to reach your goals. As I talk today, if you have questions or you get done with this, you get back home and you have questions, email me. I really want to help and give back to this community that's given so much to me. So why should you listen to me? Because I'm the 2018 spokesperson? No. Because Robin gave me a brand new Tesla? Yes. No. You should listen because marketing wins. Betamax produced a better product than VHS did, but VHS won. And Wellfleet produced a better router than Cisco did, but Cisco won. That's because when John Chambers, a former marketing manager for IBM, was named CEO of Cisco in 1995, he made Cisco a marketing company. To this day, Cisco still employs more people in marketing than it does in research and development. That's because marketing wins. It is marketing that has grown Choose Networks' revenue by $4.2 million since joining Robin Robbins in 2015. And it's a lack of marketing that only allowed Choose Networks to grow to $2.3 million in its first 14 years. Marketing has produced this revenue chart since joining Robin Robbins. But before we talk about these last few years, I would like to talk about the first 14. I think it's important that you hear this story from the very beginning so that you can understand the impact that Robin and her team has had on Choose Networks. So I want to take you back to June 1st, 2001. Do you remember that day? Chances are that day had little bearing on your life, but it impacted mine greatly. I remember it well. I was working from home that day. It was a Friday, and I got a call from my boss. I answered the phone and said, "This is Chris." On the other end, there was no "how are you" or "what's up," just simply these words. He said, "Chris, I hate to inform you, but Nortel Networks has decided to close the Wichita office. You will be receiving some paperwork from HR explaining your severance package. Best of luck to you. I'm sorry, I've got to go. I've got more of these calls to make." Y2K and the .com bubble had just impacted my life. I was 30 years old. I had spent my entire career, the last 11 years, in technology, and I found myself without a job when no one was hiring. I was a single father of 2. I was engaged to be married to a single mother of 2, and it left me pondering 2 questions. 1, how was I going to stay in technology? And 2, how was I going to provide for my family? Little did I know that the answer to those 2 questions 17 years ago would lead me to this stage to tell this story today. See, the answer was I was going to have to create one, and Choose Networks was born. I called everybody that I knew and told them that I was in business for myself. That was my entire marketing strategy. I worked hard. I took on every single paying job I could find. And that hard work turned into another marketing strategy, the referral campaign. There was nothing intentional about this program, but it worked. Choose Networks grew from $99,000 in revenue in 2002, our first full year in business, to $323,000 in 2004. Now, you know how the referral program works. Someone you've done business with tells you about one of their friends that's having trouble. Marketing's complete. A lead is generated. It's time for the sales process. Our sales process could be completed in a single phone call back then, and it went something like this. "Hey, this is Chris from Choose Networks. Joe tells me you're in need of some computer support. Our hourly rate's $75 an hour, and I could have someone there this afternoon." They either said, come on over, and I had a new customer, or they said, let me think about it, and chances are I never spoke to them again. See, I was a technician, not a salesperson, and I wasn't about to pester someone to do business with me. You would often hear me say that we don't need to advertise, we do a good job and we grow by referrals. But guess what? The referrals stopped. We got too busy to get to everyone in a timely manner, and our sales started to suffer, going from 323,000 down to 277,000 by 2006. It was a tough time. More business than we could handle, not enough profit to hire another technician. I spent all day doing tech work and all night doing paperwork. Looking back on it, I know that it had a negative impact on my life, not to mention the lives of my kids and my wife. But then I had this great growth strategy idea. I would make an acquisition. The acquisition would bring on new customers. Those customers would provide additional referrals, and we'd get some technical talent that would help us get the work done. So in September of 2006, I went into debt and made an acquisition. I was confident that that acquisition was going to make 2007 the year that we hit that milestone, that $1 million. But we came up a little bit short, only doing $929,000 in 2007. And with no real growth strategy, we came up short again in 2008. So what was the answer? More acquisitions, more debt. We made additional acquisitions in 2009 and 2010, and we got our revenue up to $1.3 million. But without any additional acquisitions, and with no sales and marketing effort, we found ourselves back to $1.1 million by 2012 and getting dangerously close to falling back below that $1 million milestone. So I decided to give it one more try. We made another acquisition, except this time we went big. In September of 2013, we made an acquisition of a company that was as big as we were. And that fourth quarter of revenue got our sales to $1.6 million in 2013. And with a full year of that acquisition, we did $2.3 million in 2014. You would often hear me say during this time that it's easier to buy revenue than it is to sell IT services. But the problem was it took every dime of profit that we made just to service the debt. At the beginning of 2015, I set out in search of better answers. I joined an HTG peer group and went to my first HTG meeting in February of 2015. During the content day, a gentleman by the name of Zach Schuler took the stage, and he told his story much like I'm telling mine today, except he had grown his business to $20 million. He shared that he had sold his business for enough that he didn't have to worry about money anymore. And I remember thinking, that's good, one less thing. At the end of the day, I seeked Zach out. I had some questions to ask him, and I asked him a single question, and in return, he asked me about 24 questions. At the end of that conversation, he looked at me and said, Chris, if you want to grow, you have got to figure out sales and marketing. Well, I had just been introduced to 10 new peers as part of my peer group, so I started asking them marketing questions. I was surprised to find out that I had already bought all of the marketing answers that I needed. I had bought them 2 years earlier at IT Nation from a fiery redhead and a hulk of a man. What I had bought was our industry's largest dust collector, the Technology Marketing Toolkit. I was encouraged to knock the dust off of it and to call Robin Robbins' office for some additional marketing help. In March of 2015, on a phone conversation with Jeff Johnson, I did a little arm twisting, or as he tells the story, I did a little begging, and I got him to let me join Producers Club. Now, when I look back on these first 14 years, I think about me being the technical guy who thought he could make it on his own. I remember being the one-man band. I remember putting payroll on a credit card more than once. I remember making acquisitions and going deep into debt just to buy revenue. I remember putting my entire life savings into Choose Networks when many people around me were telling me to shut it down. I hope that something in this story of the first 14 years resonates with you. Because many people look at this revenue chart and think that that is success. But I hope after hearing this story, you understand the ups and downs a little bit. And I hope you understand that because we didn't know how to sell and market our company, we bought over $2 million of that $2.3 million in revenue. This revenue chart is what success looks like. Marketing wins. It's marketing that has grown Choose Networks $1 million each year since joining Producers Club, from 2 to 3 million to 4 to 5 to a projected $6.5 million this year. So let's talk about marketing. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work, but if you want to grow, you have got to figure out sales and marketing. It starts, let me ask you a question first. Raise your hand if you have spent all night working on a computer system so that your customer is up and running by 8 a.m. the next morning. Most of the room. If you bill $150 an hour, that 12-hour shift will make you $1,800. Now raise your hand if you've spent all night hand addressing envelopes so you can get your marketing campaign out the next day. A lot fewer hands. That activity can net you $1,800 a month, every month for the foreseeable future. If you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Those projects, that 12-hour shift is a fish. But marketing, that's learning how to fish. It starts by fishing in the right spot. Not every body of water contains fish. Your prospect list is your body of water. Make sure that you are marketing to the right companies. Make sure that the fish on your list are not too small. And make sure that the fish on your list are not so large that you can't get them in the boat. Once you have the right body of water filled with the right size fish, it is time to master the cast. Now, you won't catch a fish with every cast, but don't get discouraged. You have to persevere. Just because you put that lure in front of a fish and it showed no interest doesn't mean that it won't have interest in a future cast. And if you put that lure in front of that fish enough times, it will bite. So now I want to share with you our 5-campaign marketing strategy that we use to grow. It's a series of casts that we put in front of the same fish over and over. And it works because we fish in the right body of water for the right-sized fish. Campaign number 1 is a 3-step letter campaign. We use this campaign to introduce ourselves to every new prospect. We send 3 letters 2 weeks apart. We send letter 1 and we follow it up with a phone call. If we don't get a bite, we send letter 2 and we follow it up with a phone call. And if we still don't get a bite, we send letter 3 and we follow it up with 3 phone calls. That's 3 letters and 5 phone calls for 8 touches in 6 weeks. Campaign number 2 is our drip marketing campaign. Everyone that goes through the 3-step letter campaign either ends up on our farm list or our unconverted leads list. Now, the farm list is everyone that we campaigned to who didn't show any interest and we didn't mark them as not a fit. And our unconverted leads list are all of those who showed some interest, but they haven't said yes yet. We got a bite, but they're not yet in the boat. Immediately upon completing the 3-step letter campaign, we start a monthly tech tip postcard. We want to keep our name in front of those prospects so that if their provider fails, we are top of mind. Now, these first 2 campaigns do something very important. They provide 10 touches in the first 90 days since we introduced ourselves to them. They at least now know our name. Campaign number 3 is a monthly newsletter. A newsletter adds value by providing information that is entertaining and useful. And Technology Marketing Toolkit provides us with a lot of good content. We physically mail a newsletter to every single one of our customers and every one of those unconverted leads. And we email our newsletter to everyone who has given us permission. One thing that I find very exciting is when you go on a customer appointment and you sit down in the waiting area and your newsletter is sitting on the table. You never know who's going to read your marketing material. Campaign number 4 is the Lumpy Mail campaign. We use this to introduce new services or as a follow-up campaign. Here's an example of how this works. We put a rubber duck in a coffee mug box with a business card that just has a URL on it. Nowhere on the box or inside is our company name or anything about us. But if they go to the URL, they'll find out who we are. Now, this campaign does 2 things. One, it nearly guarantees that it will get delivered to the person it's addressed to. A gatekeeper will open an envelope or discard a postcard, but they will almost always deliver a box. The second thing it does is create some curiosity, and they have a tendency to go throughout the office and show everyone that someone sent them a rubber duck in the box. Now, that helps us a lot when we make up our follow-up phone calls. The gatekeeper always asks, can I tell him who's calling? We get through the gatekeeper about 25 to 30% of the time when we say, yeah, this is Chris from Choose Networks. I'm the one who sent him the duck. At the very least, we have a really fun conversation about a cool marketing campaign. Campaign number 5 is our referral program. That campaign that worked so well at the beginning of Choose Networks' history, except now we have purpose behind it. We ask for referrals. Our salespeople ask all of their contacts. Our technicians ask our customers. In our program, if a customer provides us with a referral that signs a new agreement, we give both the customer and the referral a free month of service. We've created an entire program. It is posted on the back page of every one of our newsletters. We use it in social media, and we send it in email. We campaign for referrals. So there they are, the 5 campaigns that we have used over and over again to grow. It's the 3-step letter campaign that you use to introduce yourself to new prospects. It's a drip marketing campaign that you use to keep your name in front of those prospects. It's a monthly newsletter to show that you have value to add to your relationships. It's a Lumpy Mail campaign that you use to introduce a new service or to re-engage with those prospects. And it's a referral campaign so that you can entice your customers to recommend your services to their friends. Sounds easy, right? I remember our very first campaign. We thought we had everything right. We put together 200 letters, only to watch 40 of them come back in the return mail because the address wasn't right. Nothing worthwhile is ever easy. It takes perseverance and dedication to make marketing a reliable source of leads and appointments. But if you figure out marketing, you will get results. Here's an example of our results. In March of 2015, when we joined Producers Club, we billed $84,000 in monthly recurring revenue that month. Last month, we billed $273,000. Back in March of 2015, our total revenue was $168,000, and last month we invoiced nearly $550,000. What's most important and exciting is that we have gone from $2.3 to $6.5 million without a single acquisition and without any additional debt. We went from 18 to 37. So, in closing, I want to share with you that winning the Better Your Best contest was an unexplainable experience. I was named 2018 spokesperson. I was handed the title and the keys to a brand new Tesla. Shortly after the ceremony, I was ushered upstairs to a suite at the hotel where I spent 20 minutes in conversation with Robert Herjavec. But none of that was the best part. 11 days later, I received an email from Jeff Johnson, and he asked me if I wanted to come speak at some or all of the road shows. I jumped at the chance, and I'll be joining them for all 5. See, I jumped at the chance because it's my life's purpose to help others lead impactful lives by listening, encouraging, and sharing my experiences. It's my experience that marketing wins. It's my experience that staying small is tiresome, unprofitable, and overwhelming. But if you want to grow, you have got to figure out sales and marketing. Now, Robin Robbins was my shortcut. See, she's already figured out sales and marketing for our industry. All we have to do is execute, put the time and effort in to master marketing. When Robin gives you an opportunity to join one of her programs, I want you to think of another Robin. I want you to think of Robin Williams' character in Dead Poets Society and this line, Carpe diem, seize the day, make your lives extraordinary.